I don't know of anybody that is plugged in as much as you and has as much information as you do on the I-77 issue. I have spoke to a lot of people. A lot of them have been on the air, and they all seem to believe it's a done deal. It's over with. Stop worrying about it. Stop messing with it. Just get used to it. And then I talked to you the other day, and you said, maybe not. So fill me in on what I don't know.
Well, nothing's over until you quit. Nothing's over until you quit. And I'll tell you this. I think 3 or 4 years ago, after the contract was signed with Central, I'm sure DOT said, okay, now this is over. Well, it wasn't over because the citizens and businesses of Lake Norman realized how bad a deal this was. And, they went down to the CRTPO just a year ago and said, okay, we're going to re-vote on this. And they did. And they said, okay, now it's over. Well, no, it's not over because we will never stop until we have ease the congestion on I-77, and the HOT lanes will not do that. Actually, if there's anything that's crystal clear, the HOT lanes will guarantee congestion on I-77.
Well, in fact, that's one of the things you and I talked about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and that is the concept of a managed lane needs there to be congestion for it to work.
Joe, we went up to talk to the governor's staff just a month ago. We had 2 of our Mecklenburg County commissioners and John Hetwer and I. But we went up and we talked to the senior policy director for Governor Cooper and also his general legal counsel. And there was 2 things that I pointed out to their staff. Number one, there was never an economic development study or any type of examination of the impact on this was going to have on business and quality of life. And why? Well, the reason why is because 90% of the time when you add capacity to any road, you're going to create economic development and access and business and commerce. You're not going to have the opposite effect. Well, in this case, it will because it guarantees congestion. And something that people need to consider is we've got this massive body of water, 32,500 acres. It limits our real estate. And another thing they never thought about, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools rivals CATS, the Charlotte Area Transit System, in its busing. It rivals it. It supersedes it. But the fact of the matter is, we've got a lot of private schools in the area. We have 1,600 students at Pine Lake Prep. We have 1,597 at Lake Norman Charter. We have 13 at the Community School of Davidson. Those kids aren't on buses. They're in cars, which means mom or dad are dropping those kids off in the morning, and they're going back to pick them up in the afternoon. And those are cars that are on the road in this corridor that no thought was given to that.
Bill, let me just remind everybody, we are on Facebook Live. You can go to WSIC website. Please feel free to send in some questions, and I'll make sure that Bill Russell gets those questions as we're continuing to talk to him. Bill, there was another conversation on commerce that I heard Commissioner Puckett talk about, and that is the trucking industry.
Oh, absolutely.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, that was another thing that is just mind-blowing is that we have seen an increase in trucking, particularly now that there's a lot of packages ordered on Amazon and things of that nature. But trucking is using I-77 to move goods and services throughout our corridor. And they can't use these HOT lanes. They're going to be relegated to using the general purpose lanes. And so these trucks are going to be stuck in this traffic, which is basically going to come to a standstill. Well, now what are they going to do about that? Well, what they'll do is go around Lake Norman and go around Charlotte. And so instead of Charlotte being an economic development hub for transportation, you're probably going to see something like Greenville-Spartanburg become the hub for the transportation. They will just bypass this corridor. So that not only hurts the lake, it hurts Charlotte, it hurts North Carolina and their economy. So again, this is going to be bad for trucking. It's something that they didn't think of. It's just a poor thought out plan, and it will not work.
I know that you've been working with the DOT and the governor's office working on some solutions. I read you are an excellent writer. You're just an absolute excellent writer. And I read that article. Can you talk about some of the solutions that they are considering? I mean, your group has done a remarkable job speaking with and communicating with this governor. Talk about some of the options, if you can, that they're considering.
Joe, let me just say this. I do think that this is going to be changed. To what degree, I don't know. But at the end of the day, it won't be my group. It won't be the elected officials. It will be the person at home, the Joe citizen, mom or dad, the regular folk out there that has made the difference in this. This will be a win for the citizens, and make no mistake. But there are four or five alternatives that we are looking at. Number one, they could just come right out and cancel the contract but continue with the project.
What have they talked about that? Is that still something that's on the table?
Oh, absolutely. It is a matter of, though, what's going to be the penalty, how much money they're going to have to pay. So that is one alternative. They could say we're going to allow Centra to continue building the lanes, but they won't necessarily be two HOT lanes. It could be a general purpose lane, which will ease our congestion, and a managed lane managed by the state of North Carolina. There could be a third alternative, which would be to...
And slow down, because I know you've been through this, but they haven't, that are listening. So the second alternative, the first alternative is just bottom line, let's just write them a check and have them go away.
Right.
The second one is have them finish the lanes.
Right.
One of them be managed lanes, and the second one that they're building be general purpose. And if they did that, they would still manage those lanes, or a DOT would manage those lanes,
Joe,
that single lane.
If they gave me a magic wand and said, Bill, you can have anything that you want, and then that's not going to happen, I don't think. But if I could, I would take the two lanes that we're talking about building from exit 28 down to exit 13, and I would make one of them a general purpose lane like we have now. That would ease a lot of our congestion problem. Then I would take the second lane that they are building. This would be me if I could do it. I would go ahead and make a managed lane to where, yes, you're going to pay some type of toll to use that lane, but it would absolutely guarantee mobility. So if Joe Vagnone had to catch a flight down at Charlotte Airport, or you're trying to get over to the Fleetwood Mac concert and you've got to be there time certain, you would pay an extra little bit to make sure that you could get there on time.
You know, Bill, that is why I was one of the very first people, along with Tom Tillis. I remember being in the room. You put together a chamber meeting with Tom Tillis in the room, and it was in the Huntersville Town Hall, and I supported the concept of a managed lane, because I or my wife could get downtown in 40 minutes or 22 minutes guaranteed. And so the concept I liked.
And we've talked about this. I mean, the fact of the matter is, when Senator Tillis, then Speaker Tillis, was looking at improving I-77, you have to remember we had no money. I-70, there was no money to be able to improve 77, so they came up with a concept. And that concept was, if you don't have the money to build the roads, perhaps you can use other people's money to build the roads. So the concept was sound, but it was the contract that is flawed. And we've gotten far down the road and we realize this is not the way to go. And real leadership is understanding sometimes you've made a mistake and you need to turn around and rechart a new course.